following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
What's going on, everybody? Must be Wednesday night because we're coming back at you live with an episode of the Sling'n Proffet podcast. As always, I am your host, Andrew Daly, a.k.a. Sling, joined by my co-host over there, the Pigskin Prophet himself, looking a little bit richer, if I could say so myself. I can't say as much, but been on a little bit of a down slope. But hey, that's why we'll talk about that a little bit later. Busy week, lot to cover tonight. Originally thought we were going to have to go at 9 o'clock because I had to do a little meeting, but it's always nice when a meeting wraps up in 11 minutes. So I was able to get home and we're able to get back in our right time slot. And guess what, Prophet? I'm sure you'll be happy to hear this. The slides are back. All right. The technical difficulties have been worked out. All right. So we're able to follow along with you. Everybody who watches along with us, you guys are going to be able to follow along and see what we're actually talking about and not just listen to us, although I know you love hearing our beautiful voices. Prophet, what's going on, man? How was your week? What's exciting going on down there in the Prophet world?
Well, if you guys noticed, the ones watching, okay, I gave the double fist bump tonight because after watching the show back from last week, I noticed that I didn't give the fist at the end of the show like I always do. And it was a long night. It was a long night last week. I told you, I was up all night watching the election and all. Speaking of which, my sources are telling me, okay, Trump winning has already started to become a good thing for our economy because my sources are telling me that Bruce, Oprah, 6,000 Swifties, and 52 jackasses from Hollywood have put their house up for sale already for pennies on the dollar, which is going to help the real estate world greatly. So,
well, that's good. That's happening fast.
Yeah, real fast.
Maybe I'll be able to afford to move out of New Jersey sometime soon.
Yeah, there you go. You got to.
Yeah,
that state. But at any rate, yeah, I've been fighting. I thought I was run down, and come to find out that it was the Rona that I've been battling.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, picked up COVID. I don't know whether it was because of being run down or whether that's why I was run down. But, yeah, still battling it right now. But, it's not a bad case. I just got a splitting headache. Try and keep it down a little tonight there, Sling.
I'll try and keep it to a dull roar. But, hey, we appreciate you battling through. I didn't know people still got the coronavirus or still got tested for it. So it's interesting enough. But
no,
yeah.
my grandson, went to the doctors and got tested, and he was positive. So considering the fact, he talks in my ear and in my face and all, I didn't do the test, Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure I am.
Well, we're hoping for a speedy recovery for you. Hopefully, it doesn't affect your plays and your mind there because you've been pretty hot lately. But we'll talk about that later. We got a lot to cover.
What did you say?
I said you've been pretty hot lately.
Oh, I thought you said something about my mind. I forgot where I was there for a second. I'm sorry.
Well, that's no different than any other night there. Vote for Willie.
But, yeah, before we move on, I think you had something you need to share happen on Friday night. I'd like to hear a little more about it.
Talk about Friday night?
Yeah, this past
you
Friday
night. My debut, well, I wasn't broadcasting. I was kind of like this. Well, there goes the ball, and the ball is flying downfield. You couldn't see my face, but you could hear my voice. But yeah, I called the. You're talking about the Princeton game, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing radio. I did radio for the Princeton Dartmouth game. Ivy League contest was actually a pretty good game. It wasn't. I don't think it was supposed to be that close, but Princeton kept it close. Had a really fun time. Obviously, getting to experience going into that kind of atmosphere with a booth, the way it was set up, and just like all the accommodations and the commodities that they had. Like I had a huge television I had a huge TV computer prompter in my face where I could watch, even though we were on radio, I could watch the replays and talk through the replays right there. And it was just an awesome experience. And I would look over and I saw the ESPN announcers right there, and it was funny because there would be like a big play or something like that, or a good catch, and I'd be talking into the mic, and I happen to look over and I make eye contact with the ESPN guy, and we'd be like, give him the big eyes, like, oh wow, what a play that was. And no, it was awesome. We had a good time, and I got great feedback from the guy who I was working with, who has been there for like 12 years, and he's done a lot of work on ESPN. And he was like, you would have never known that it was your first year doing this, blah blah blah. So it was good. Hopefully, I can go back up there and work with them at some point. I had a lot of fun doing it. I don't have any. There's only 2 or 3 weeks left in the college season right now, so I don't have any. I don't have anything on the books right now. But listen, I'm like a minute man. Well, all right. Let me rephrase. I'm ready at a moment's notice. Okay.
Yeah, Laura said that once or twice.
A moment's notice. All right. So I'm ready to go. But yeah, I hope I had a blast, and then it was a good weekend, and then Kaylee, my daughter, went to a soccer camp on Sunday up at a college in North Jersey, and she did well. And then she got an email on Monday that they're offering her a roster spot for next year. She's only going to be she's a junior now. She'll be a senior next. So they're offering her a roster spot for fall of 26. So that was fun. That was her first official. I say official, but it's not really official until it's official. But that was her first roster offer.
Nice.
Hopefully first of many. So that was exciting. Yeah, so a lot of good things happening here in New Jersey, in the land of the slings, I guess you can call it. But all good stuff, man. All good stuff, and we're moving ahead now. We're going into what are we going into? We're going into club soccer season, which is important because she's got a huge showcase coming up this weekend already. There's going to be like 60 different colleges there. So we're right back into it. High school season just ended last week, and now we're on to club soccer season. So big happenings here.
That's with the shower, Lar, also 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's if my foot gets caught in my pant or my pant jacket or my pant hole or whatever. I'm hopping around. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. We got a little bit more college football in the What's Happening segment. That not a lot of. I mean, there's stuff to talk about in the NFL, but I think there's some big news, some big headlines in the world of college that I wanted to touch on. So we'll dive right into that. Let me see if I can remember how to even get my screen up here. It's been a while since we've had the help of excuse me.
See that
the help of there we go.
See that little button on your mouse?
Yeah. I gotta click it right. So we're moving in right into the What's Happening segment. We'll talk about everything that goes on throughout the week. I say everything, but let me preface that. We talk about football, Prophet. Maybe we should broaden our horizons a little bit and talk a little, I don't know, hockey or something.
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right, fine. You said it, not me.
Hey, look, I mean, this is a two-way show. We talk about football, fantasy football, and betting. And when you're talking about betting, which is the number one part of our show, you got to talk about what you know. And I mean, yeah, people ain't going to listen if we're throwing out 20% winners.
Or broaden your horizons and let's study some other sports. I don't have time to do that. I don't know if you got time to do that. You got a lot on your plate too. But let's talk about the task at hand here, and let's talk about some of these NFL coaches. And listen, I'll be honest with you. I appreciate you coming up with some of these headlines. This is a little harsh here, Prophet. NFL coaches that should be fired right now. You're talking about yesterday. Okay, you're talking about these guys shouldn't be walking. These guys shouldn't have an access code to the building when they show up tomorrow. That's what you're talking about.
That is correct.
Well, if you're looking at the picture right here, the first guy would be on my list would be the Dallas Cowboys head coach, Big Mike McCarthy. I don't know what is going on in Dallas. Well, I do know what's going on in Dallas. It's in shambles. All right, and it seems to be like, I know Dak's having season-ending surgery, but it seems to be like, even I was watching that game on Sunday, and the guys who are playing, they just don't seem to be very motivated. Like CeeDee Lamb doesn't want to be out there with Cooper Rush. I'll tell you that right now. And Ezekiel Elliott, maybe he wants to be out there because he's happy to be collecting a paycheck at this point in his career. But there's guys out there like Lamb. Lamb doesn't want to be out there. So don't be surprised in the next week or two if Lamb comes down with some miraculous season-ending injury that he's talking about. But this guy's number one on my list. I want to hear some of the guys that you got to talk about because I do have a few others, but this was your topic, and I'll let you go with it.
I mean, McCarthy is definitely worthy of being at the top slot there. And, guess what? You got a guy like Cooper Rush, okay? Yeah, I think he's now 5-2 after last week, as a starter. But you're CeeDee Lamb, man, and you're going across the middle, which CeeDee Lamb does a lot. And you don't have the faith that Cooper's not going to lead you right into a freaking corner or a safety or an outside linebacker, that's looking to take your head off and maybe end your season or career. Yeah, I can understand him being a little cautious out there. They know they're going nowhere. What are they, 3-7 now, 3-6? They have no shot.
They're 3-6.
Yeah. They don't want to, these big time players don't want to get hurt. I mean, live to see another day, and I'll tell you what, we talked about, we're talking about Cooper Rush. Me personally, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Trey Lance gets in the game this week at some point in time.
Yeah, I heard that they had some packages in for him last week, and they might have used them. I didn't see the full game. I don't know if they used them at all or not. But I wouldn't be surprised with you there. Let's do this, Prophet. I got a list here, and I don't know how you're planning on going about this little segment here, but I got a list here. Let's just run down the list real quick, and I'll shoot them off. And it's almost like a hot seat kind of segment. All right, this is totally unscripted. All right, you didn't know this was coming. I'm going to name a coach, and you're going to say fired or keeps his job. All right.
Okay, go.
Number 1, Doug Peterson.
Fired yesterday.
Number 2, Matt Eberflus, Chicago Bears.
Fired yesterday.
Wow. Even with fire him or fire the quarterback, because that's a whole nother story.
No, it's too soon to fire the quarterback. Fire him.
Number 3, Antonio Pierce for the Raiders.
Keep
him. Number 4, Brian Dable, New York Giants.
Fired last week.
Yeah, I don't know how, honestly, I try and, I walk the line with the Giants because I got connections, but, Dable's, they're going to be looking for a new head coach, and I think they're going to be looking for a new quarterback in the draft. Here's an interesting one for you. Zach Taylor for the Bengals.
Keep
him. And we'll go 2 more. Well, we'll go 1 more. Kevin Stefanski, Cleveland Browns.
Fire. Not yesterday, though.
All right. So you said fire. You said fire Eberflus. You got anything to add to that or no?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, he knew he had the number 1 and the number 9 pick in the draft, I believe it was, or the 7th pick, whatever. They take Caleb Williams, which, okay, no matter what I think about it, they took him. Now they're going to have to live or die with them. Well, instead, they pick with their second pick in the top 10 in the first round. Instead of going after somebody that can protect Williams, a good offensive lineman, which many were available at that point in time, they take another wide receiver when they already have DJ Moore, and granted Keenan Allen's in the twilight of his career, but they did sign him as a free agent. They didn't need Rome Odunze at that point. They needed somebody to protect, and they didn't take it. And yeah, the OC was the scapegoat here. Okay. This team scored 2 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks, and both of them were 3 weeks ago. They've scored 4 field goals in the last 2 games, and that was against Arizona and New England. I mean, this guy does not belong to have a head coaching job. Needs to go.
All right. Well, I agree with that sentiment. I admit to you that you obviously are you know the stats, you know the ins and outs. I just go by what I see from the play on Saturday or Sundays and from the highlights. And listen, I'm pretty sure that, and I don't know if it's fake news that I saw or not, but I'm pretty sure that they're going with Tyson Bagent this week at the request of the players. There was apparently a group of veteran players who went in and said that they want Bagent to start. I don't know if that's confirmed or not. Let me just look that up. The last I saw is that it was confirmed.
Last I saw, Caleb was the quarterback. They were sticking with him.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing 4 hours ago, Cole Kmet comes down and shoots down reports that Bears push for Tyson Bagent. All right. Whether that's true or not, listen, it's out there, okay, and it's in people's minds, and it's in Williams' mind, and quite frankly, it's going to be out there to friggin' the masses after I air this show. But listen, they got to do something. They're not getting it done. Caleb Williams is beyond bad, and I don't know if it's a product of the system or if he's just showing his true colors, but. Those guys are guys that we feel like should be gone yesterday, not at the end of the season, which it's always going to be interesting. The fact that Doug Peterson made it through the bye week after the whole the overseas games is beyond me. So I like Doug. I think he's a good guy, but holy smokes, he just hasn't gotten it done down there, and they can't get anything going in Jacksonville. So
he's had success with quarterbacks over the years, and he has not had any success whatsoever with Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence is the franchise and down there, so what is it? Not Tony Khan, but one of the Khan brothers. I mean, they want to win, and they want to win now.
Yeah.
And they're not doing anything, Peterson's not getting them to that point. So I honestly think Peterson's lost the locker room at this point. And when that happens,
it's tough to say too. And that's, if that's the case, it's tough because he's known as a locker room guy, and the players, like him. And but I think they called it emotional intelligence when he was in Philadelphia. So maybe they're off of that emotional intelligence, and it's just win by any means necessary. But we'll see how the rest of the season plays out for these guys. It's definitely something to keep our eyes on. Whether it happens this week or whether it happens at the end of the season, I definitely foresee a lot of movement happening. And quite frankly, leading into our next slide here, some of these teams could be looking to fill their head coaching vacancies with some head coaches from the college rankings. A couple names that come to mind is none other than Mr. Primetime himself, Deion Sanders, who, whether you like him or not, he's led that resurgence in Colorado, and he's got a Colorado team in 7 wins. Now they're not ranked here in this playoff pool. We talked about this playoff pool last week. Obviously, we're going to talk about probably every week until the playoffs actually start. We knew that we knew there was going to be shakeups. There was a bunch of shakeups this week. There was a bunch of upsets. You got Georgia. Who else? I didn't get a chance to see a whole lot of.
Well, there was only two big upsets: the Georgia game and Miami losing to Georgia Tech. But the Georgia game upset, I mean, that was terrible for Boise State because that knocked Boise State out of the 12 slot into the 13 slot this week. So last week they were in the playoffs. This week they win this week and they get knocked out.
Yeah, so right now, as the seeds go, as they stand, and this is going to change from week to week, but it's fun to talk about.
Right.
Your first round matchups. You got Georgia taking on number 5, Proffet, Indiana, the Hoosiers. Kurt Signetti got those guys at 10-0 right now. It's unbelievable. You got number 9 versus 8, which would pit Miami versus Notre Dame, which is a nice little matchup there. You got the 11 versus 6, which would be BYU taking on Ole Miss. And then you got the 10 and the 7 as it sits would be Tennessee versus Alabama rematch. That's some good. That's just fun. That's just fun football.
Yep.
I don't care who you are, whether you like the 12 teams or not. That's a fun friggin' December 20th weekend, because that weekend is going to be absolutely electric. And that first round of the playoffs being at the home team school, or the schools of the lower seeds, I think that's awesome, man. And I can't wait to see the atmosphere. I'm just looking forward to it.
It'll be great. It'll be great. But Larry makes a good point here, and it's going to be a topic of discussion when the final polls come out. Okay, if it were to end today, man, Boise State gets booted again. Even going to 12 teams, there's going to be somebody that's not in there that everybody feels deserves to be in there, and like I said, Boise was, in there last week, and because Ole Miss, comes up big, Boise's out now. So it'll be fun to keep an eye on.
And there's a couple more weeks. There's a couple more weeks in the regular season here in college, and
and this week, I mean, we got, there's a couple of big games this week. Georgia, Tennessee. Texas has to travel to Arkansas, which is not going to be an easy game for them. And I'm saying it, on record here. Watch out, folks. The Ducks are going into Madison this week to play the Badgers. And I know the Badgers are down this year, but that is not going to be an easy game for them, I don't think.
Well, you heard it. You heard it first here. If that does come to fruition, but talking about it a couple days ago, I just don't think that I don't know. You got Oregon, but there hasn't been one team that's like head and shoulders above where you've had that in previous years with Saban's Alabama teams. You knew they were number one and nobody was beating them,
And Oregon, we talked last week. I mean, Boise and Ohio State lost to Oregon in Oregon by a point and 3 points, so that's not domination there either. Yeah, they're undefeated, but, they're not dominating.
Prophet, you mentioned somebody being there when they shouldn't be there, and it kind of takes me to my next slide. Friday night, man, we got something going on here. You're talking about people who are in there that shouldn't be in there. You got Mike Tyson, Iron Mike Tyson, coming from, this match was supposed to happen a while back. Tyson got sick. You got Jake Paul taking on Iron Mike Tyson live on Netflix from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, Dallas, whatever. Jerry knows what the hell he's doing, bringing this fight there. The betting lines are screaming for me to take Mike Tyson at like plus 160 for this fight. But my brain is telling me that Vegas is set to make a killing on this fight. I want to see Tyson win so freaking bad. And all the training videos that I've seen come out, Tyson looks like he can still go. All right. And I don't know much about this Jake Paul guy. I know he's a tough dude. He's a legitimate fighter. All right. He's got a record. He's a professional fighter. I just want to see Mike Tyson go out and clean this dude's clock in a relatively short manner, especially since I'm not paying for it. I just don't see how he's 58 years old. I don't see how it's going to go his way. I'm just going with Tyson because I'm trying to will it into fruition, but who do you got in this one?
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually looking forward to this fight, and I haven't watched a fight in so many years. I think I've said it on this show before, but I am going to watch this one. Look, I'm 61 years old, and before my back and neck surgery 5 years ago, I was in pretty good shape, but I knew that I was getting old, man. This guy's 58 years old, and yes, he looks good, okay, but he hasn't been in the ring in 20 years. And I mean, he could still hit. There's no doubt about it. So he's got a puncher's chance in this fight. and I hope he lands one square on Paul's jaw in the first round, and make it why I used to hate him, because it used to cost me $59 for the pay-per-view when he was fighting, only the pay-per-view to be over in like a minute and a half. I hope that happens this week. I just don't think it's going to. My bigger concern is that I hope the sun will set like it's supposed to, and we don't have to worry about sun in either of these guys' eyes.
Well,
down in Dallas,
the house that Jerry built, you got to worry about sun glare apparently. But somebody brought up the point online. They're like, "Oh, Jake Paul's in a no-win situation. If he wins, he beats Mike Tyson, who's 58 years old, and if he loses to a 58-year-old." And I said, "Listen, there is no losers in this fight because they're both making a lot of money. So they're both winners in this one. I wouldn't be surprised. Listen, anything could happen here. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and just do a sparring match for 10 rounds. Or I don't know. I don't know what to expect. But
I think Tyson wants to take his head off. I just don't know whether he's going to be able to or not. I hope he can. I do not like the Paul family. They're arrogant, smug pricks. And, each of the two of them, I don't like them. We'll see what happens.
So you're hoping Tyson goes back to his old ways, bites his ear off?
Absolutely. That would be great. If he could take another trophy home with him, man, put it right next to Evander's, that would be great.
Well, somebody that's not going to be taking any trophies home. I don't know if you saw this this story come out. The Vanderbilt quarterback, you might have remembered him a couple of weeks back when, he had a big upset victory against Alabama. Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia suing the NCAA over eligibility. I was reading up on this story. He's suing the NCAA because he went to junior college, I guess, for the first 2 years of his career. And when you go to a legitimate junior college that, it's accredited, your clock starts, your Division I, your eligibility clock starts. And he tried suing the NCAA saying that he should have more eligibility because, he should be able to make money and on his NIL. This kid has gotten so into his own head, I think, ever since this whole Alabama win. I'm like, dude, you're 6-4. You're having a nice little year at Vanderbilt, but let's keep everything in check here. Right now, I think they filed a temporary restraining order against the NCAA. All I want to say out of this is you're the quarterback at Vanderbilt. You're not the quarterback at Notre Dame. You're not the quarterback at Alabama. You want to be careful trying to take on the machine, which is the NCAA. Okay? You don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. And if the NCAA wants to shut you down, they'll find a way to get it done. And I just feel like that this kid might be treading a little bit of water that he's not ready to tread, trying to sue the NCAA over eligibility. I mean, what are you trying to prove here? Your thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, I didn't see anything about it until today when you mentioned it. I looked into it. I don't know. I really don't have an opinion other than to ask you. Isn't JUCO? Don't you go there because you either need to hone your skills up a little bit or you need to get your grades up?
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely correct, which is what why he went. Apparently, he only had 2 low level offers coming out of college or coming out of high school. Went to junior college. I think he had a little bit of success. Wound up going to New Mexico State, which is then where how he transferred to Vanderbilt. So you're talking about junior college, then New Mexico State, now Vanderbilt, and now I think he's only got 1 year of eligibility left, and he's saying that he deserves the right to earn more money because he's the only kid who's ever gone to a junior college before and lost their eligibility.
Yeah. So he wants the best of both worlds. He wants to go to junior college for 2 years and pick up 2 years of age experience, get better, and then come back, move up and play in the 1A for another 4 years. And maybe if he's lucky, make it to the NFL as a 27-year-old quarterback. I mean,
right.
dude, if you weren't, if you had your head on during high school, you wouldn't have been playing JUCO college for 2 years, and this wouldn't even be an issue. So don't blame the system. Blame yourself.
Yep. I will end it. I will end this slide with this, a quote from one of my all-time favorite shows. Just because he shot Jesse James, son, doesn't make you Jesse James. And now just because you beat Alabama doesn't make you some kind of hotshot, dude. Play your time out, see what happens. Don't sue the NCAA.
Yeah. Bad move.
Talk about another bad move. The Utah athletic director hijacks a presser and says that the game was stolen from them this past weekend by the officials. Utah had a controversial loss to BYU, 22-21. There was a bad holding. There was a bad holding call, I think it was. You can't. You're the athletic director of the program. You can't. You're not even supposed to be on a podium. What are you doing on the podium giving a press conference after the game? That's for the players and the coaches. Nobody wants to hear from you, but he comes out before the coach and before the players and says that they were robbed and this game was stolen from. You should know, of all people, that you don't go out there and publicly blast the officiating. Because guess what? Not for nothing. I say it all the time. That game is not won or lost on one play during the game. It might have been a significant play, but there's 60 other minutes that go down in football where you guys had opportunities to make other plays, and you didn't. And for the leader of a big-time program, Utah, the athletic director, to go on and blast the officiating at a press conference, dude, it's such a bad look. They wound up fining him $40,000 for it. He got fined by the Big 12 for his comments, but I mean, there was I know a lot of people talked about it, about this non-holding call or whatever, but like, holy smokes. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this with the head of the athletic department coming out and blasting the officiating. What do you think about it?
Well, unfortunately, I was hoping to be able to disagree with you on one of these segments here, man, and it just didn't happen. But yes, knowing the position that you're in, okay, I understand it's right after the game. He's totally frustrated, not only the holding call, but they called a timeout after the play started, like supposedly 3 seconds after the play was already playing. That was a fourth down play that would have given Utah the ball back. I understand the frustration, being upset about it and all, but you can't go about it this way, okay? And like you said, you're the AD, man. You should know better. Now, he's sitting there. I mean, he's bad mouthing, the Big 12, officiating. We should have never gotten into the Big 12. I mean, he said some stuff that you say when you're upset, and not that that makes it okay, but I understand. On the flip side of that, the officiating at every level, college, high school, professional, it really needs to be, something needs to happen with the officiating, man. I don't know whether they need to, they need to add more to their crews, all the money the NFL and these big colleges are making, or whether they need to just go to, no officiating and do it, in New York.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what I was you see it in other sports. We're sitting here, let these guys officiate the game, but if there's something that happens that could change the outcome of a game, why can't New York or the officials up top in the booth buzz down, say, hey, you guys missed it. It doesn't go down as, there's no such thing as human error anymore.
Right.
You can make mistakes. You can make a mistake on the field. I understand that 100%. But there's no reason why you say, well, that's the call on the field that was made and we have to stick with it because that's the rules. That's BS. You could go in and you could have somebody who sees it and say, hey, Mike, whatever the official name is, hey, buzz down, blah, 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 stop the play. Listen, you guys missed it. It was a holding call. It's plain as day. It's got to come back. Right. I don't see anything wrong with that.
And You said earlier that yeah, games aren't won and lost on one play and all, but let me take you back to last Thursday night. I mean, Cincinnati scores with 38 seconds left in the game, and they go for two instead of the tie. And on the pass, Baltimore's defender smacks Barrow clear in the head, and there's no call. I mean, he throws the ball out of bounds. I mean, the same thing happened 2 weeks ago in the Minnesota game on Thursday night when Darnold got his face mask ripped off in the end zone for a safety with two referees standing right there and nobody calls a face mask. I mean, they end up losing the game by 10 when they could have went down and driven and tied the game. But
yeah, I get what you're saying. I was asleep. It's too late on Thursday nights for me to be watching football, but I agree. Something does have to change, but you got to handle it better. You have to handle it better.
Absolutely. That was disgusting in actuality. When I read this story, I was disgusted that everybody that he was blasting and all.
Yeah. Well, you talk about change. Let's change this. There's been a lot of change in our weekly pick'em pool every week. From week to week, we got new leaders. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here. We're in the back half of the season. We got leaders. We got, I think, the top. We got 103 is winning, and you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. The top 10 players are separated by 4 points. We're talking about our weekly pick'em pool, sponsored by Advanced Sports, hosted on Run Your Pool. Again, this is, if you haven't gotten in, it's going to be too late for you to come up and win the whole thing. But it's not too late for you to go 14 or 15-0 and get yourself a $25 gift card. So make sure you're playing every week. We got week 10 results. Frankie coming in on top.
Woo-hoo,
Number
Frankie.
1, 10-4, beating out Big Pick Energy by a margin of 3 points. They were both 10-4, and Frankie guessed the score of the game closer than Big Pick Energy. Great week out of both teams. It was a tough week. A lot of games didn't go the way they were supposed to. A lot of four losses isn't usually going to get you up on top of the leaderboard, but Frankie gets it done this week, followed closely by Johnny H coming in with a 9-5 record, Rich with a 9-5 record, Mighty Pound Cake 9-5, Radomir 9-5, Griffin Mom 8-6, Talon 8-6, Peebler 8-6, Farmball 8-6, DF 13 8-6, me 8-6, Lana and Big Will rounding out the 8-6 crew. Fun week, close week. Going over to our year-to-date leaderboard, we got Farmball on top with 100. Oh, there's a three-way tie. Excuse me. Farmball on top, Mighty Pound Cake, and Talon all with 103 points. I got to see what the tiebreaker is. I don't remember the tiebreaker, but there definitely is one. Radomir coming in after that at 102 points. DF with 101. Johnny H with 101. Big Will with 100. Peebler with 99. Lana with 97. And Rich with 92. And listen, it's still anybody's ball game. There's a lot of movement out there.
Yeah, man.
Make sure you guys are playing. And again, even if you're not in it for the year, get in it for the week to week and don't give up. I know there's some people out there that say, hey, I played for the first 6 weeks or whatever, and I'm out of it. Get back in. You could still win that gift card, and as long as you were playing with us and you were playing with us from the beginning, that's fine.
Yeah, $25 doesn't get you what it used to get you years ago, but if you take that $25 when you get it and you start putting it on the Proffet's plays, I'll make that even more than $25 for you.
There you go. Or hold on to that $25 and it might get you more in January.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, we're moving on. We're going We're going to our weekly roundup segment. We took a lot of time. Took a lot of time on our first couple segments, but our weekly roundup where we talk about the past games that were. Baltimore squeaks past Cincinnati in a thrilling game. What was this? The Thursday night game, Proffet? Yeah, it was too late for me, man. They got to keep these good. We got another good game tomorrow on Thursday night. You got to keep these good games off Thursday night. I can't watch it. Another thing that pisses me off is that big noon. They got to stay off the big noon, man. You got another freaking top 5 matchup on big noon this week. I don't want to watch. God, don't get me started. Anyway, sorry. I'm off on a tangent. Big noon sucks. Anyway, yeah. Baltimore squeaking out against Cincinnati. Lamar Jackson having himself a nice night there. 25 of 33 for 294 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 16 rushes for 68 yards and a touchdown. Joe Burr, 34 of 56 for 428, 4 touchdowns. And if you had the unfortunate task of playing against Jamar Chase in fantasy, I was going to say like I did, but I didn't. Jamar Chase went off to a night that I have not seen in a long time out of a receiver. 11 catches, 264 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I know right here on my CBS, it says 55 fantasy points. He got 66 fantasy points in my league. What an effort out of him in a losing effort. But what a game here, Proffet. What'd you think about this one?
I was surprised because Cincinnati jumped out to a fairly big lead in this one, and I thought they were going to get it. And Lamar started being Lamar in the second half, man, and brought this team back. And it was a great game to watch. A fun, great game to watch. The only thing I would have liked better was if we saw another overtime like they did earlier in the year. I don't know. I'm not crazy about that 2-point conversion. It's do or die. I would rather go to overtime and take my chances. But you talk about Jamar Chase. I think in the 2 games against Baltimore this year, he's had 475 yards receiving.
Wow.
That's absurd. It's a record in the NFL for the most yards in a 2-game against a team in a season. 475 yards receiving in 2 games against his team.
Yeah, it's crazy.
This is why they can't win the Super Bowl, though. They can't stop the pass.
It seems to be that way for, usually if you got a high scoring offense, you don't have a very good defense for whatever reason. But, we talked about friggin' Cincinnati possibly, does the coach stay or go, So it's not just something I pulled out of thin air. Like that list is coming from somewhere. So that's out there, People think that way. Some people are thinking that way. They're not happy. But we're moving on. A second half comeback keeps the Lions roaring. Did you like that one? I made that up myself. Second half comeback keeps the Lions roaring, 26-23. Excuse me. Lions were down 23-7 at halftime in this one. Had themselves a nice little second half and was able to pull it out against the Texans. Jared Goff, 15 of 30 for 240, 2 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of football Sunday. How the hell did he throw 5 interceptions?
I didn't even see that. Is that a correct stat?
I'm pulling it right here from CBS. 5 interceptions, and they're able to pull out the win. That's crazy to me. Jahmyr Gibbs gets the load in this one, 19 for 71, but Montgomery gets a touchdown, 12 for 32 and a touchdown. Joe Mixon, 25 of 46 and a TD. CJ Stroud, pedestrian, 19 to 33, 232 and a touchdown with 2 interceptions. Both of these guys not so great. John Mechie checking in with his first NFL touchdown. Good for him, coming back from I think he had
leukemia of some sort, or
something like that. So congratulations to him. Yeah, good job for him. But what do you think about these Lions? Anything to be concerned about, or just a little bit of a dud for them?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest. Okay, with this game, I was, I watched like the first quarter of this game, and fell asleep on my easy chair, and I did not even notice that Goff ended up throwing 5 interceptions on the night. I mean, this makes it even worse for Houston. How in the hell do you pick off the opposition's quarterback 5 times and still lose? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, Stroud hasn't been able to get it done on offense. There's no real rushing attack to speak of. Mixon didn't have anything going on, and you talk about the year that Stroud had last year, and he hasn't followed it up. He hasn't followed it up at all this year.
Do it for me 2 years in a row, I always say.
Yeah, well,
and now
it's not happening. A blocked field goal takes Kansas City to 9-0 with the Bills up next, 16-14 over the Broncos. And you got to give Broncos credit here, I guess. Who could have been the laughing stock of the season or the NFL have turned it into a nice. They're 5-5 right now. They put up a good fight. They were actually up 14-10 at halftime in this one, and the Chiefs get 2 field goals at the end of the game to win it. Mahomes goes 28-42 for 266, 1 touchdown. If you had him on your fantasy team, you probably weren't too happy. You didn't get a whole lot done. Fantasy-wise, Kareem Hunt, 14-35, nothing to write home about. Bo Nix on the other side goes 22-30 for 215 and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Does a good job protecting the football. Not a whole lot of stats coming out of this one. I mean, you got your boy Travis Kelce had a nice day, 8 catches for 64 yards and a touchdown. What's going on here with the Chiefs? Or is it the Broncos? Are the Broncos a good team? What's the deal here, Prophet?
Nah, the Broncos aren't a good team, and the Chiefs, you know what? I actually had Denver winning this game. I put out the play this weekend for taking them on the money line and with the points also. The Chiefs, the last 4 years in the regular season, the game before Buffalo, man, they were 1-3 going into this game. So they look ahead. Buffalo, on the other hand, Buffalo blows people out the week before the Chiefs. The Chiefs look ahead to Buffalo for some reason. And that's what happened here. I mean, they got lucky. They block a field goal and they stay perfect.
Who do the Chiefs got? Let's see their next schedule. They got the Bills. This week. They're at Carolina, Vegas, Chargers, Cleveland, Houston. And then, after this Bills game, you got 4 winnable games. You get the Houston will be tough, and then they got Pittsburgh, which will be tough, and then they're at Denver. So
they win this week. They could go undefeated.
They could. They really could. And if they got to get past this test and don't have any letdowns, but it's definitely a possibility for sure. Speaking of Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh ekes. Wash my mouth out with soap. Pittsburgh don't ever put this as a headline again, Prophet. Jeez.
I love it. Pittsburgh ekes out a victory.
Ekes out a victory at Washington, 28-27. You wonder why I change your friggin' title sometimes, because I can't get this out of my mouth here. 28-27. This is a good game. Listen, they're doing well. They got Russell Wilson. I kind of questioned it after they benched Fields after starting 4-2, but Russ has got this team going. They're behind him. Excuse me. I really like this. I still like the Commanders team, though, man. I really like the way they have just risen from the ashes, so to speak. Russell Wilson goes 14 of 28 for $195 and 3 touchdowns with an interception. Warren 14 rushes, 66 yards. Najee Harris 21 for 55 and a touchdown. Jaden Daniels didn't have a great day through the air. He didn't have a great day, period, I guess. 17 of 34 for 202, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And Austin Eckler, 13 rushes for 44 yards and 2 touchdowns. Big game out of Eckler there. Who's more? I mean, was this what you expect? Who's more for real here, the Commanders or the Steelers?
I hate to say it, but I think Pittsburgh. Jaden showed his youth last week, and I would like to say that they were looking ahead to their first big-time division matchup. I mean, this is a young team. They could have been looking ahead, but I don't know. Daniels just didn't look good last week to me, and there have been games this year that he has looked absolutely phenomenal, and there have been games that he hasn't looked good at all. And the past 2 games, he hasn't looked good at all. And now he gets to go into Philly tomorrow night. Man, it's not going to be easy for him.
I'm thinking about having to make a switch at the top. As a general manager of my fantasy team, I'm thinking about having to sit him on the bench this week, going against a tough Philly team. Well, I don't want to talk. I sound like I just stole some thunder from you. We might hear him later in the show. Who knows?
That's fine. All good. And you know what? Anybody can put down Pittsburgh wins 28-27. But it's more exciting when you put down Pittsburgh ekes out a victory at Washington. Come on, man.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have used the word eke. You used something else, but I don't know. Whatever. We're moving on. Tampa Bay loses another close one. My boys cannot catch a break. They lose a close one. The 49ers with returning Christian McCaffrey, which people thought they were, he wasn't even going to play all season. So for him to come back and rejoin the team as they make a late push here for the tour as going home to the playoffs. Brock Purdy, he had himself a day. 25 of 36 for 353, 2 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield didn't have himself a day. 18 of 29 for $116, 116 and one touchdown.
Caught up to him, Sling.
Yeah, I don't know. Not a whole lot going on. You got total yards, 413 for the Niners to 215 for the Buccaneers. Breaks my heart a little bit, man. I hope for the best for this Buccaneers team. I thought they were a little better. They're sitting at 4-6. They've had some close losses, though, the last 3 or 4 weeks. We talked about CMC returning. 13 rushes for 39 yards in his return game. 6 catches for 68 yards in the receiving game. So he had himself a nice little game through the air. If he can stay healthy, it'll be good to see, or interesting to see how they proceed down the road. Is this the beginning of the resurgence for the Niners, do you think, or what?
Yeah, I think, and not that Jordan Mason did bad when he was in there, because he certainly didn't. But McCaffrey is the catalyst that makes this team go, I think. And him coming back with, he had, 107 yards. I'm not saying that he didn't have a good game. He had 107 total yards from scrimmage, which is, for him, not a great game, but not a bad game first game back after 10 weeks either. And like I said last week, Sling, Tampa Bay were the big losers at the trade deadline, man. They got Baker no help, and it caught up to them this week.
Yes, unfortunately, I think I might be agreeing with you here. They just haven't shown anything, and like you said, it caught up to them. Not a whole lot going on for Baker this week. Excuse me. That'll wrap up our weekly roundup segment. As always, the fastest. I like to make up numbers. So let's go fastest 12 minutes in sports. I think that was a little bit longer than 12 minutes, but
go with a baker's dozen. Fastest 13.
There you go. Fastest 13 minutes in sports in the NFL, we'll say. We're moving on to our games of the week. We got some good divisional matchups this week, Prophet, that we're going to talk about. Some good divisional, some good non-divisional matchups too. But let's start with the what happened? We'll start with tomorrow night. We got a good one. Good one tomorrow night. Washington taking a visit to Philly on Thursday Night Football. Washington coming off a tough loss last week. Quick turnaround here for those guys. Oh, my goodness. I am all over the place with my technology right now. I'll tell you what, ever since that whole freaking meltdown by Sirianni at the presser a couple weeks ago, the Eagles have come out and played some inspired football recently. They've been doing well.
What he was doing.
Yeah, they've been doing well. They beat the brakes off the Giants. They snuck by the Cleveland Browns, which is when I think that press conference happened. They beat the crap out of the Giants. They beat the crap out of the Cincinnati. They snuck by Jacksonville, and they beat the crap out of Dallas. And a game that was close at halftime there. But
hey, Sling.
Eagles are playing well. Yeah.
Sling, you're starting to talk like I was a few weeks ago.
Am I freezing?
You're Mickey Mousing.
Really? I can't hear it back myself.
I know. I couldn't either. But it's okay. It's funny. It sounds good.
It's not funny. Is it still doing it?
No, not right this second.
It has to be an internet thing. No, I was just breaking up. Yeah. It's because my internet must have been bad. Yeah, it's what happens when the internet starts to go down. But we're okay. We're moving up. Anyway, Larry says it's better. It means we're better. Excuse me. So we got Washington coming in off of a big loss. Thursday Night Football. Usually this would be our jug handle in game of the week. It's not because it's Thursday night. Man, I got to go with the Commanders in this one. I just have to. Over-under set at 48.5. Philadelphia is a 3-point favorite here. I don't know. This is tough. Eagles have been playing well, but I just got to go with the Commanders here. I'm not giving a score because it's not the jug game of the week. Commanders are going to win this one. Eagles aren't going to have an answer for Jaden Daniels. That's my prediction.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a game for first place in the division. And, yeah, like I said, Jaden hasn't been playing well the past couple of weeks, and Philly has been rolling. Philly's 5-1 in the last 6 in this series. I got the Birds, 38-24 in this one.
Jeez. They're going to score 70 points?
62, yeah. So I like the over, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so. You got the Birds. What was it? 38-24.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. What did the Eagles do to persuade you?
They're playing good ball, man. And it said once they got it together, if they did, and they've gotten it together. I mean, they put 34 up on a decent Dallas defense last week. Yeah. I mean, I know, Dallas was, well, we won't go there. We talked about it already.
Moves us on to our next game, divisional rivalry. If BP was here, he'd be heated at this one. I think there's nobody else that he hates more than Seattle for some reason. Mm-hmm. Seattle Seahawks taking a trip to San Fran. 48.5 point is the over-under. San Fran 6.5 point favorites with McCaffrey coming back in this one. Seattle sitting here at 4-5 on the year. Seattle doesn't do a whole lot for me. I think that the Niners you're going to see the Niners get back to truer to form. And you're going to see, like you saw this past week with Purdy, having McCaffrey back, it's just another element that defenses have to worry about. And it's going to take a load off of Purdy, and he's going to be able to make throws that he hasn't really been making all year because, again, he's going to have a different defensive look with McCaffrey. I got the Niners in this one covering pretty easily. What do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you here. earlier in the year, I thought this could be for the division lead this game, but Seattle and San Fran both they're in second and third place in the division. Yeah, San Fran's won the last 6 in this series by 12, 12, 18, 18, 8, and 20 points. So the fact that they're only giving them what was it?
6.5.
6.5. Yeah, I like San Fran. I like them big in this game, 34-17.
34-17. You got some high scoring games so far here,
So
huh?
far,
Another big divisional matchup. You got the Baltimore Ravens visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers coming off a 1-point victory, excuse me, over the Commanders. The Ravens looking to continue their dominance. They've been playing good football, good offensive football too. Ravens come into this one with a 7-3 record. The Steelers are coming in 7-2. Big time matchup here. Is this a 425er?
yes.
I was going to say, if this game's not on in the afternoon.
No, I'm sorry. This is a 1:00 game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm.
Oh man, you got this game intermixed in with all the 7 or 8 other games here.
Yeah, it's a 1:00 game, Sling.
Listen, I talked about Russell Wilson kind of lighting a fire under the Steelers, but Russell Wilson's a flash in the pan. I think it's a nice little story for a couple weeks, but Baltimore right now is rolling. If I had to choose between Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson, I'm taking Lamar 10 times out of 10. I got the Ravens in this one. Lines 3, over under is 48. I got the Ravens and under.
Nice. I tend to agree with you. If I have to choose between Lamar and Russell, I'm going to go with Lamar under normal circumstances. But when these two teams meet, there's nothing normal about this game. This game's for the division. I've been down on Pittsburgh all year, and I'm finally not anymore. Baltimore's lost the last 7 of the last 8 games against the Steelers. And Lamar Jackson is 1-3 lifetime against them. Lamar's been hurt for a lot of them 8 games, but he's only 1-3 against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has his number. He's averaging like 130 yards passing against his defense. I got the Steelers in this one, 16-13.
16-13. So you're going under 2. Not much of an offensive prowess on Sunday in Pittsburgh, but damn. So you're going to push. Ravens don't cover. God, I don't know if I can get behind that one, Prophet.
No, I'm taking Pittsburgh. They're a home dog.
You got the Steelers winning 16-13.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Yeah, we're on different sides of the fence there.
Yep. We both went slow, but
we're moving. That is, am I seeing that right? Houston at Dallas, and Houston's a 7.5-point favorite.
Yeah, you're saying it right.
That number is high. That number is very high to me. I'm curious to see why you put this. Oh, because all right, we put every Dallas game on Games of the Week. I thought maybe there was a backstory to it here that you wanted to talk about.
Sling, I'll be perfectly honest with you, okay? Other than the first 3 games that we talked about and the next one up, I couldn't find a 5th game. There's not a 5th game that has 2 winning teams.
Gotcha.
Playing this week. So I figured I'd go with the Cowboys because of the fan base.
Sure. We got the Cowboys at 3-6. The Texans sitting here at 6-4. We know the Cowboys are down, but listen, 7.5 points in their home stadium. They're coming off. They're going to have a huge night Friday night. It's going to be a big party there in Dallas all weekend. I don't think the Cowboys win, but I do think they cover. I'm going Houston here, but Dallas covers.
Okay. Gotcha, noted. And Houston is 6-4 coming into this game, 1-3 in their last 4. They haven't played a complete game since the New England game, in week 6. Um, Dallas hasn't played a complete game all year, I don't think. I don't know. I don't like this game. I honestly think Houston is going to allow the Cowboys to stay close in this one before winning it in the end. I got Houston 20-10.
Houston 20-10. So Texans and under in this one. That brings us to our jug handle in game of the week. It's rare that we see the Eagles not on here, but we try and stay away from the Thursday night games as being the jug handle in game of the week. But jug handle in is located on Route 73 in Cinnaminson, New Jersey. Beautiful Cinnaminson, New Jersey, I should say. Got delicious food, cold beer, great service there at the jug. Got the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the Buffalo Bills. Chiefs come in as 2-point underdogs in this game. Am I reading that correct?
That is correct.
Over under set at 46. Is there supposed to be a blizzard or something in this game that I'm not knowing about?
Yeah, good weather, supposedly.
For the Bills to be 2-point favorites, I just don't see it here. I got the Chiefs, and we talked about if the Chiefs win this game, they got a possibility to go undefeated for the season with the rest of the schedule that they got looking at them. I'm going Chiefs here. Let me go 27-23 KC. That's my prediction. 27-23.
Duly noted. Well, Mahomes is 1-3 against Buffalo in the regular season.
Really?
And surprisingly, he hasn't lost to them in the playoffs yet, but in the regular season, he's 1-3 against Buffalo, and all 3 of them losses were in Kansas City, surprisingly. I actually think Kansas City needs this game more than Buffalo does. Kansas City's sitting at 9-0, and it's kind of odd to hear me say that, to hear myself say that, that Kansas City needs it more. Kansas City needs to beat this team to shut up all the doubters that are talking about they're 9-0 with mirrors and all.
Yeah,
I got Kansas City winning this one 31-27.
31-27. High scoring ball game there in Buffalo this weekend. We both got the Chiefs. Taylor Swift. Holy crap. Travis Kelce been coming into his own a little bit.
Yeah, he's starting to play.
And it's funny because the same thing happened last year. Like, is Kelce the same guy? And then he turns it on halfway through the season. Kind of like what I'm planning on doing with my fantasy football team. I'm going to get this thing turned around and really make my run here at the end of the season. So we'll see. What just happened?
I clicked on that mistakenly.
Yeah. Anyway, that'll wrap it up for our jug handling game of the week. Prophet and I both taking the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. Jug handling over there in Cinnaminson, New Jersey on Route 73. Jug handling got wings. Wraps it up for our game of the week segment there. We're going to visit Prophet's fantasy headquarters, and we're going to make it quick here. We're running long tonight, Prophet.
Yeah. Well, I can make it quick here. Okay. No reasoning behind these picks because of time restraints here. Okay. But Aaron Rodgers, you got him on your roster. Get him in your lineup.
Let me cut you off 1 second. I know I said I wanted to be quick. Because I remembered, I was like, man, there was 2 comments that I wanted to make tonight. And the one comment was the Jesse James comment about the Vanderbilt quarterback. And the other comment was when we were talking about the head coaches being fired. I said, I don't know about a head coach being fired, but somebody who is kind of like a head coach that needs to be fired is Aaron Rodgers. He needs to be done. So we disagree there, Prophet. This guy is, oh my gosh. He's getting painful to watch, and he's painful to listen to. And I would like you to explain why you, just for this guy, just for this one, why are we playing Rodgers this week?
Well, I'm playing Rodgers this week, okay, because number one, all the crap that's been going on recently, with Rodgers. Now he had a terrible game last week. Obviously, we all know that. He gets to go home in front of his loving, adoring Jets fans, and just so happens he gets to go up against the hapless Indianapolis Colts, who they're going to get about 3 to 4 extra possessions this week because of Joe Flacco throwing interceptions to their Jets defense.
Contraire.
Okay.
Anthony, what if I told you Anthony Richardson was starting this week now?
If you told me that, I would say I did not see that because as of earlier today, it was still Flacco. And
nope, they went back to Richardson.
Okay, so then they're only going to get 2 to 3 extra possessions with Richardson throwing the ball. So either way, their defense is terrible, and I see Rodgers having a big game this weekend.
Yep, they went back to Anthony Richardson for this week, so we'll see what happens. All right.
Okay, at running back, I have no selection because all of my selections were no-brainers, and I do not give you no-brainers in this segment. Okay, and at wide receiver, Quentin Johnson. You got him on your roster, you get him in your lineup this week against the poorest Cincinnati pass defense. Okay, well, now you you made it easy on my sit quarterback. My sit was Joe Flacco. Okay, that's what I said. As of this afternoon when I was doing this, he was still scheduled to be in there. But, okay, so I don't have a sit quarterback because he's already sitting.
Yeah, well, they listen to you. The head coach listened to you. It's even better than the fantasy owners.
And my running back is Tony Pollard, and my receiver sits were any Indianapolis receiver. Okay. My pickups this week sitting at 48%. Justin Herbert going against, like I said, a pretty bad Cincinnati pass defense. Justin's got an 11-1 TD to interception ratio, which the ratio is great. The amount is not, but Herbert's also a guy that you can use the next 3 weeks if you so choose. I have nobody worthy that made the list at running back. And coming in at 50%, Cedric Tillman from the Cleveland Browns.
All right.
You need a receiver this week, feel free to pick up Tillman.
There you go. Cedric Tillman from the Browns. That wraps up for Proffet's Fantasy Headquarters. You got some emails or an email that you got to talk about?
I got one, and real quick, Ask the Prophet. This week comes from the Bedmaster. Okay, whoever the hell that is. And they asked, Prophet, why do you limit yourself to just quarterback, running back, and wide receiver in Prophet fantasy headquarters segment? Most leagues use tight ends, kickers, and defense special teams. Well, Bedmaster, here you say it. The producers tell me, move it along. I can't put 18 plays out there. 9 is all I get. Time restraints, Bedmaster. That's what it is.
I will say this, Bedmaster, if you really want them, email them. Because his email is right there. Yep. Pigskinprofit@gmail.com.
There you go.
Send him an email. He'll be happy to answer them. We're moving on. We're wrapping it up to our plays of the week. I don't know. I didn't touch your plays from last week. I'll let you explain them. But I was 0 for 2. San Diego State did not get the cover that I was expecting. Jamar Chase had a nice day. Bijan Robinson, I think he scored, and Jefferson did not because they didn't score any touchdowns in that game. So I lost that one.
But no, they didn't. I'm sorry.
No, they didn't. They got 4 field goals.
Yeah, I apologize.
So what'd you go last week?
Okay, I went 2-1. I hit my top play. Wait, before I move on, before I discuss that, okay, that squirrel, I feel really bad for it now, Sling, because not only is he blind, but he's losing his sense of smell also. He has no way of finding his nuts anymore, his acorns, Come on, man, get back on this night here. You keep
Yeah.
on.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
I went cold for 2 weeks. All right. Give me a break here. I'm still up money.
Yeah, you are.
I'm still up
Okay.
points.
Okay. At any rate, um, I went over 24.5 with the Buffalo Bills team total. They scored 30 on Indianapolis last week. That was a winner. I had the under in the New Orleans Atlanta game, which was a 420 play. That was a winner. And my only loss was the dreadful Chicago Bears that just couldn't get out of their way last week.
Against the Patriots.
But also, if you notice, they were a small play. My top two plays, lost, and that's how I ranked my plays, in order of preference.
Right. So you went 2-1 last week.
I went 2-1 last week for
Somehow your balance just went up to like plus $1 million.
No,
You're sitting at 2302 now.
Yes.
All
yes,
right.
I was 2272 going into last week, I think it was.
All right.
So technically, I only added 50 or $150 to the pool.
All right. Well, if you want to get back on the saddle here with me, you're going to do so on Friday night with the Arizona Wildcats. Little Friday night college football action, -1 over Houston. I'm going 140 to win 265. All right, that one's as good as gold. You could take it to the bank. And then for my touchdown parlay, I got Saquon ready to go off tomorrow night. So you got to get it in early. We hit this one before. All right, we hit a play like this before, Thursday night and then 2 Sundays. We got Saquon, Josh Jacobs, and Montgomery from the Lions. All right, 140 on this one will bring you back 499. That's a pretty heavy or a pretty nice payout for guys who have been finding the end zone. Okay. I'm down, 1734 after last week. I'm down to 1444 or 1454 after my plays this week. Still closer than I've ever been to even at this late in the season, let's say. But listen, if you want to ride my coattails, ride that Arizona play because I'm pretty confident in that one. So we'll see how it goes on Friday night. That's a late one. I think 10:15 kickoff on Friday night.
So am I up?
Yep.
All right. Well, first off, let me congratulate the profiteers who emailed me last week. I started the week off with Carolina last Sunday morning, actually. And I went ahead and gave you San Fran, Buffalo, Philadelphia, and Tyreek Hill anytime TD Monday night. And Denver, I told you to play big on the line, small on the money line. Actually, like a 6-1.5 weekend for the profiteers who emailed me. Guys, all you got to do is send me an email. I'll send you my plays. Okay. Now on to this week's plays. My top play for the show is I'm staying with a team total again this week. I'm going with the Detroit Lions over 30.5, playing against Jacksonville. Detroit's averaging 34 points a game at home, and they're doing it against much better defenses than Jacksonville's going to bring into the Motor City this weekend. I'm what am I got? 204. I'm laying to bring back 404. My second pick is I'm taking Cleveland as a 1-point dog going into New Orleans. Okay, Jameis Winston is going back to New Orleans where he was supposed to be the starter once he left Tampa Bay. They never really gave him a chance. They kind of ran him out of town. And with Cleveland's defense, even though they traded a couple, I like Cleveland in this game. And I'm laying 112 to bring back 212 with the Browns there. And then I'm going to stay with the road dog here, and I'm going to take Atlanta plus 2.5 going into Denver. Okay. I honestly think that the wrong team is favored in this game. Denver is doing okay. Atlanta hasn't lost 2 games in a row this year. They're not going to lose a second one. Denver is going to be in for a major letdown after just missing by a blocked field goal, knocking off the Chiefs last week. And I'm laying 54 to bring back 104 on the Falcons.
I actually like that Cleveland play. I didn't think about the dynamic with Jameis going back to New Orleans. I might get in on that action there. I like that. I like the dynamic there, like I said, with Jameis. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But you got 2302. You're up. You spent 370. You're down to 1932 with the expenditures this week. We'll see what happens when you come back next week. I want to see a lot of green on that board, Prophet.
2302, guys. Last week I said I was almost at 50%. 2302 put me over 50%. Yeah, for your bankroll, my bankroll for the year. Okay. Hope you guys are following.
As always, if you want something else, you need to know something else, shoot him an email, man. He'll be happy to do it. And we do it for free. We're not here to rake anybody over the coals. That'll wrap it up, though.
Nope.
Another episode. I didn't hear what you said. You cut out when I turned the music on. Anyway. Hey, that'll wrap it up. Another episode of the Sling'n Proffet. I appreciate you guys hanging in with us, joining us every week. We have a good time, man. We enjoy you guys. We enjoy being on air for you every Wednesday night. Probably usually 8 o'clock, sometimes 9 o'clock if we have to, but we're going to try and stick to our 8 o'clock time slot for the next foreseeable future. Not a whole lot going on. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for this week. Big week in the NFL, big week in college. Thanks for joining us. Again, if you want any plays, make sure you shoot them an email, pigskinprofit@gmail.com. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We love you.